What's up, everybody? We are finally live. I do apologize. We had to do a little bit of stream maneuvering here, so I definitely do appreciate everybody who hung out with us and waited for us. We do definitely appreciate that. And so, yeah, we actually have a new addition here, Jaide. We've referred to him several times on the stream and whatnot. Bruce will be joining us here shortly, but want to introduce Jaide to everyone.
Greetings.
All right, so our topic tonight is using minis versus theater of the mind with everything. So that's for for your battles, your placement of items, etc. So we're actually going to start off with Kai because he's cuddling his cup right there.
No.
And well, you're right there next to me, so that's how that works. We start at the top row and work our way down.
Clockwise, got it.
Pecking order.
All right. Hold on. Let's get him ready. There we go.
No.
Okay. He's not quite in a ranty mood tonight, but that's okay. So,
I've had a lot of problems with other machines. That's why I'm not super ranting.
So go ahead and what are your thoughts on it?
My biggest thought really comes down to I wish I had more maps. Really, what it comes down to. I wish I had more maps because trying to draw out one table space in the size of a map, trying to draw out an entire galleon or a first rater with all of its decks, kind of a pain in the ass. Trying to draw out a real castle with all of its rooms, kind of a pain in the ass. Trying to draw anything in all of its true size is kind of a pain in the ass. So as much as I would love to do maps and minis, and I really do love maps and minis because people do understand that better, I have to do theater of the mind because trying to describe to somebody there's a ship that's currently at 500 yards and closing. This is your rate of approach. This is your turn rates. This is how you got to maneuver to make your ship get there. Or there's a trebuchet that's currently at 1,000 yards, that's being set up. How do you handle that problem? Or there's a wizard at 500 feet, and the problem is that most map sheets aren't that big. Most tables aren't that big, and because I like to use more realistic ranges, or let people start engagements at ranges that are actually what you're capable of engaging at, because you can spot someone at 300, 400 feet. That's like 80 squares. That's a really long distance for anything, especially we got like I got a folding map. I got a vinyl map. I've got little tiles. That's no range, man. That's no range. Meanwhile, your archer's going, I can take a shot at approximately 3 map sheets away, and I can probably hit that guy. And then you're like going, well, shit. And suddenly players are trying to figure out how do you let people engage it? And we got people who are like high speed maneuver, like I'm playing a monk. I can run really fast, get there really quick. And then you're like, cool, you're moving that insanely fast. The mounted character, I can go insanely fast. You're sitting there going, what the hell am I doing? Sure, if you're playing the traditional dungeon crawl thing or some weird little everyone close quarters combat garbage, it's kind of cool. But the moment you start having players start opening up with ranged weapons, spells that are actually, when you see their ranges, are actually insane, or just anything, and suddenly you're kind of going, my table's not big enough, my room's not big enough, nothing I have is big enough, the map sheets aren't big enough, I don't have any vinyl this big, I don't have tiles this big. What the hell am I doing? And so you have to go theater of the mind for all of that, because players start figuring out what range is, and suddenly you're going, okay, well, I guess we're starting this fight at half a mile, and weird things start happening. Which I know that's not what most gaming's all there for, but when you start getting away from, am I within hit them with a sharp stick range? Game starts falling apart, and I love it.
Hello.
Oh,
Hi.
welcome, Bruce.
How's everybody?
Also, how you doing, Biggest Geekus? He's up dealing with the dogs. Thank you for being here, Cal.
Cal?
Yes,
There we are.
definitely bust out all the miniatures, just so that way, even if I have to do a tactical map and a strategic movement map, having people know roughly in general relation they are with each other. And it's really weird having to have 2 tables set up for like local combat and area combat for maneuvering. And people like, and then like when you get within like 100 squares of each other, within 500 feet, we'll switch from one table to the other table, and or pull which one map on top of the other map, and then put marks down. I'm like, this is where things start to fall apart. One of many points where the things start to fall apart. And
Yeah,
it does
Cal
scare
brings up. Yeah, it scares the players.
That's usually a good thing. Put the fear of die in them.
Players are really scared the moment you start putting out like armored war wagons and putting like 20, 30 miniatures out and ranks and file. Hey, are we playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle today? And I'm like, no, but you are fighting an imperial armored formation. And like, oh, this isn't fair for us. No, but you were stupid enough to get caught. Here they come. And you're like, oh shit. And yes, all the miniatures are good. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you. That's my opening statement.
All right. Well,
Our topic is miniatures versus theater of the mind.
correct.
Okay. I'm sorry, I haven't been listening to you. I had a nasty conversation on the way home, and got home, scrubbed the work off of me, and now I sat down with you.
That's a shitty situation.
That's fine. Yeah, this is true. It's slightly shitty,
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
but
good.
it's okay because we're going to let Conall go next. There we go.
See, it's okay. I have several examples, especially when I was down Poplar Bluff, where we're doing large siege battles, and the room was like the same size as a. I'm trying to give a reference that you guys would understand. Well, you guys would, but the same size as Just for Fun. Those who live in the area, but the same size as Just for Fun, and with a lot of open space. And we're doing a sea battle. Well, not a sea battle, but we're having a battle where I put one table here, have the drawn out, because drawing out everything sucks ass. I'm right there with you, Kai. I've done it. Cereal boxes cut open with cardboard and paper, grid paper, and just like trying to map everything out. But I had 2 freaking tables, one over here and one 5 feet away. I had to measure it out and do the math. This is what it would look like if you guys were really fighting this battle. This is where you guys are set up. This is the wall to the kingdom, and here comes the boat. And as I'm moving the table closer and closer and closer to both of the tables lined up as this. Yeah, there is an echo. So I am a big fan of miniatures. Oh God, I am a huge fan of miniatures. But I also understand there are certain circumstances where you just don't have the map or the figs to do a castle, the great hallway of a castle with a throne. You just don't have it. These are things that a lot of DMs don't have because until here recently, they weren't on the market as miniatures. Unless you have a 3D printer, then most of your problems are solved. If you have a good enough 3D printer.
I think I have a solution for you. What I do is I have index cards of varying sizes. I have some 8x5s, I have some 3.5x5s. And what I do with these is that I will sketch out the landscape of where they're at, and I'll let them decide where you're going. Here's where you're at. And as soon as they get into encounter range, well, off goes the index card off to the side, and hey, there's a battle mat underneath it that covers my fucking table. And so that's what I do. I don't make them have to endure me drawing out for 30 minutes a castle which they're going to do 10 minutes of adventuring in and 4 hours of combat in a 25 by 25 foot area. I've wasted their time. And that's something you have to keep in mind. So what I like to do is I like to draw it out, just basics. Here's the area you're at. Here's a bailey. Here's the moat. Here's the dirt road that goes up to it. Here's the courtyard. Where do you want to go? Well, where's the stairs at? Well, you see stairs and doors over here, but you have to get in there. Oh, and the guard sees you. And all of a sudden I start drawing out on the map exactly what goes on. It takes me about 3 minutes to get the basics down. And I will use Legion of Myth is like that. But if they're sieging a castle, I've got 50, 60 miniatures I'm going to put out in the span of about a minute and a half. Like what Cal says, get them all out, scare the players. And that's what you got to do. You got to make your players shit their bricks, okay? Well, no, don't use the big red dragon, because that, after a while, even that loses its punch. Stop that.
No, I wasn't using that. I was moving to the side. I had something else I was going to grab. Thank you.
Okay, but don't touch that for 6 months. That way, when you bring it out, it's like bringing out your fresh meaty bone on the table.
I got another one. I have a lot of them.
So, anyway, that's what I like to do. I like to draw out just like the area on an index card. That way, I don't waste everybody's time. I think that's better in the interim.
Stay.
Okay. And we'll go ahead and go with Jaide now.
Okay. So I think minis have their place in a battle scenario. They also have their place outside a battle scenario, so the GM kind of knows where players are positioned in a various room setting or what have you. That said, I have recently been experimenting with battle zones. This kind of goes back to what Kai was saying, where instead of like having a half-mile field, because it takes up, the room you're in, the room next door, the house next door, you can have zoned battle maps. So by zones, you have a circle that's, let's say, 30 feet using D&D terms. And in that 30 feet, everything there is close. You're in close combat, meaning melee weapons work in close combat. Ranged weapons work, but they might suffer a penalty. And you can have all the minis in that little circle of 30 feet across. That said, you have the next ring out, which is about 15 feet wide, maybe 20 feet, whatever. And that is called near. And to traverse from close to near takes a move action. But now you can attack things with a near weapon, such as a pole arm. And you can also attack into the far range with your near weapon because you're already near the far range. Everything outside of that near range is called far. And the only weapons that can really reach far are, well, ranged weapons. So you can move into the far range to go attack that army that's a half mile away, while everyone else is attacking at things that are in near combat or close combat. So minis can be used in that manner, and minis don't have to be, pre-painted or painted or even bare bones figs. They can be pennies, they can be glass pips, they can be anything that you want to represent your character or monsters on the battlefield. But at the same time, you have theater of the mind, and this is where the zone combat kind of helps with theater of the mind, traversing with minis. Where that army that you're seeing is a half mile away. Yes, Ultimate Dungeon Train by Professor DM. That's some really great stuff. But that one ranged fighter, they can be interacting with using theater of the mind against things that are half mile away in the far terrain. Why? Because you can actually have both minis and theater of the mind happening at the same exact moment with no degradation of play.
Yeah.
So I think minis and theater of the mind are both important to the game as a whole.
Hey, Jade,
Yes.
would you use theater of the mind more for like a sniper war between two archers?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Where you might have like one archer, he's hiding on a hill or behind some cover or trees or brush, and you have to describe your actions in theater of the mind. And this helps people who may not, typically do the description of actions come out of their shell a bit more and practice describing what they do. Like, okay, I'm an archer. I'm hiding on this hill over here behind the bushes. I'm looking into the valley. And then you have the other archer in the valley who's like, okay, I've just been shot at. I'm going to find cover behind rocks. I'm going to be using mirrors and other methodologies of, trying to figure out where the shots are coming from. I'm going to use the trajectory of the arrow. And from that, I'm going to narrow down where this person's at.
Cal's going to be forcing representation with his minis on the table.
I mean, and you can do that. You can totally do that. But you could actually play theater of the mind in a sniper battle, or you could play minis. The problem with minis in a sniper battle is it kind of gives away their location, doesn't it?
That's the reason why I was throwing that at you. I just watched Behind Enemy. No, was it Behind Enemy Lines that the Russian sniper was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman. Yeah. Jude Law.
Jude Law.
Can I respond to Indigo Dragon here?
Yeah, you can't really have a good sniper battle if you have it gridded out and such. That's why I want to get rid of the grid.
I also kind of want to get rid of the grid as well. I would actually like to respond to Indigo Dragon here. As far as the central zone working, if everybody's in the same central zone, you can actually have multiple central zones. There's no limit to the amount of central zones you have. So, for example, let's say I have the battle that's happening in the courtyard of the castle. That's my central zone. Everything that happens in the courtyard of the battle is in that central zone. Then I have a PC who wants to say, I don't know, I want to go through the main door, get into the throne room and do battle there. Okay, that's going to be a new central zone. You don't have to have just one central zone. You can have multiple. You can have 3, 4, 5 different central zones, and each PC is playing in a different central zone, acting in close combat. Yes, split the party. Yeah, you can totally split the party. The key to that though is everyone has to be aware that they are taking that action, that they are actively splitting the party, and it could result in catastrophic elements happening to them. They may not be totally prepared for it, but you know what? Combat is an utter terrifying clusterfuck of a situation.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can't tell you.
Welcome back, Joe.
I cannot tell you how many different games I've been in where you get that one person's like, I'm going to go left instead of right, when the rest of the party's like, we're going right. And it doesn't work out that way. And 2, maybe 3 of your players are dead because one guy wanted to be the big bad hero.
It happens. Player characters can die. They should be able to die. If they can't die, what's the challenge?
Why are you even playing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we like to play dress up and then just like scream at each other and roll dice.
I mean,
Where's my mask?
If that's the kind of game you want to play where your characters have no threat of dying, then the challenge needs to be something else. The challenge needs to be social encounters. The challenge needs to be puzzle solving.
The last book of Wrath of the Righteous with Mythic Power God level. My character can't die.
Technically, they can.
Dying is only... No, they can die. They can die, But depends on how your party is built. It's only a momentary problem. It's not a long-term problem.
It's a minor setback.
That's why you snipe the cleric first. That's why you go out of your way to slaughter the healer first. So that way death is a slightly longer inconvenience. But no, you're supposed to snipe the mage first. No, cleric dies. But he's the healer. I don't see a first aid patch. There's no this is war crimes time. Kill him. Kill him hard. But he's wearing the Red Cross patch. Kill him.
No, Cal, I don't want to go back to work to play my adventure.
By the Geneva Convention, it's unlawful to shoot a medic.
You know, and I jokingly say this. I love the Red Cross because if I'm doing something, I'll take a drink for this, Bruce. When I play Dag here and I see a Templar with a great big Red Cross on it, like, that's where I'm going to be aiming. Thank you for giving me a target.
But the thing here is that I'm running the bad guys. Bad guys are supposed to do evil things. That means we're killing people today, as many as possible. And if that means biting and turning the cleric to stone so that way he can't heal anybody, so be it.
That's actually a better one to do than actually kill him, because if you kill him, he's portable. If you turn him to stone, how many extra dimensional bags does he fit in?
That depends on how many pieces you break him into.
The answer to that question was 1. Because the
one bag of holding.
No, the mage shrank him because it was now an object, and then put him in a pocket, and then carried him back to town.
You know, I think I've seen that in a movie.
Boo.
Look, the basilisk couldn't kill him fast enough. I'm sorry.
Greater Dispel Magic gets rid of 2 spells. That's all I'm going to say, Kai.
I know, but I felt it was a nice reminder that mortality happens. So
no, I mean even when I'm in Poplar Bluff and I'm getting, I felt bad momentarily when I killed a player that paid to play. I did feel bad, but guess what? I got over it just as fast.
And if you are in a game where it's pay to play, you should probably have several backup characters, because death should always be player death, or character death should always be on the table. It should never be off the table, because without the consequences of character death, where's the challenge? Because if specifically saying if it's a combat based game, where's the challenge? If you are never under the dying, you can do anything you want with no consequences.
See, going back to the FIG meeting of FIGs versus Theater of the Mind.
Yes, I think we got a little off topic.
Yeah, no, I've actually after like we've done something, after they did something, I would hold. I have all of them have their characters meet at the local cemetery. The game shop had a miniature coffin, but it was for Warhammer. So there would be a service if the character died with the figs and the bearing of the casket, and I'm like, I think that burns a little bit more of a memory than just sitting back and picturing it in your head, other than physically seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be a little twisted though.
No. I don't think we've heard from Garrett or Bruce about minis versus Theater of the Mind.
It is Bruce's turn.
The Bruce.
Well, I will say that I like Theater of the Mind when I'm running games like Star Wars, the role-playing game, or Extreme Vengeance, which is basically a one-player, one DM game. The other thing I really like Theater of the Mind for is whenever we're doing special scenarios, and I really don't need to have a battle mat. I don't need a battle mat. I need the players to be sitting at a table with somebody, and so I might throw a table down with the player characters around it with their NPCs, and I might just do that. But theater of the mind, I prefer to do that for certain things. But when I need to have all hands available for this engaging combat, or for this combat that could probably turn into a TPK because you're idiots and you went through a portal that you really should not have, you want a battle mat. You really do. You want to know where all the stuff falls when the players get barbecued by lightning, like at negative 40 hit points. I'm sorry, you're Pastor Khan, dude. And you want to know. You just want to know those things. And as much as I like minis for every combat, there are some players that they will take the Pathfinder game engine, and even with the core rulebook, they will bend it and twist it and dry hump it until their level 2 character makes the rules scream a little bit. And so sometimes you'll put the figures out on the table and say the dumb words, roll initiative. And super player gets in that 20, so he goes first, and he kills 2 or 3 of them in the first round of combat. Surprise is still going off. The NPCs still have flat-footed status. So sometimes you waste your time when you do minis, especially for like the little incidental or random encounters. Other times, if your theater of the mind combats go a little longer, start putting the figs on the table, but don't swap over directly to it. Just kind of like get them out there just to get the players used to looking at the table. And if it continues for like a half minute, for most 3X games, a round of combat is a full 6 seconds. If you're doing this and you're in theater of the mind combat for more than an hour, swap over to minis, okay? But if you can wrap it up within 3 rounds or less, then don't bother with miniatures. Seriously.
And myself, I do prefer the theater of the mind. Now, there are certain things like what Bruce said. When you come up to like a boss fight where there's going to be a lot of intricate things that you're going to have to keep track of, the players, several, other things. I think that it will actually add to it just for watching the sheer numbers. But something that's going to be real super quick, easy, dirty, 5 rounds or less, I would say, theater of the mind will work just as good.
Like Garrett and I don't think it was Jonalia, but it was her archer character that she had during Second Darkness. You two would get to a corner and you start to peek around it, and you just start picking off a bad guy because you drop 120 points of damage around. Well, there's really no reason to get miniatures out on the table if they're doing that and they're able to retain their position advantage. And really, if you allow that to continue more than 4 rounds, you're a shitty DM. Make the bad guys retreat and make the players earn their XP.
And that kind of goes exactly what Joe's saying right there with the no one can keep track of complex battles in their head, and that's true.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same way because if you have a party of 5 and you got you're high enough, let's say you're above level 5, let's say level 5. So the wizard just now has 3rd level spells, and Fireball is one of his brand new. Ooh, I gotta try the spell. And you're doing theater of the mind. We're all gonna run up and attack the monster. Wizard's in the back is like, but if you move that way and it's in a cone or this, how do I make my spell work? Because there will always be some Jimmy in there saying, no, I'm in front of him. No, I'm behind him. I'm doing everything that the party is everything the party can't be doing. Where if you have a map and there's figures on it, no, Jim Bob, you're over there. Sally's over there. So this cone will work, or this fireball will work, or so forth and so on for the casters.
Friendly fire happens.
Yes.
Yeah, but people get kind of mad when you fireball them to death. I mean, not from personal experience.
Then
anything.
Yeah.
That goes back to the comments of, combat is this terrifying clusterfuck of a scenario. You don't always have best advantage of positioning. Why? Because the enemy might know the terrain better than you. Or B, the mage may not be able to place the fireball exactly in such a way that it's not going to affect party members. But you should be really looking at your spells, your abilities, and after enough time and playing with one another, you should be able to know how to position one another so that you don't get a lot of friendly fire. But at the same time, that's where theater of the mind might suffer a little bit, or alternatively, everyone gets better at describing their actions.
Fireball needs to have a scatter table.
Or, the mage can say, hey, pull your socks up.
Hey,
And everybody should be able to, dodge or take maybe less damage from the fireball because they know what that means now. They're like, oh, hey, the mage said pull your socks up. I should probably duck.
Yes.
I got to say that Blaine said fireball needs a scatter table. Okay, Blaine, here you go. Make fireball a 4th level spell because you want the precision targeting. The 3rd level version of it uses a GW grenade scatter die.
Yes.
How's that work for you?
I would be so happy about that. Just the idea of mage throws fireball, and suddenly everyone goes, "Oh crap!" And the mage just kind of like hopes he gets the roll really good, hopes he hits the target hex, and hopes there's a deviation. But please, I want people to go, no, we're safe, and then it lands right on top of them, and that's what I want so bad.
I am the asshole. I haven't done it in a while. I am an asshole that will play. I'm not to give the arrow trick there, Jaide, where I'll play a wizard that took rogue levels for evasion. Because by game mechanics, as long as I do a high enough deck check, it won't hit me. That right there is the reaction I get.
That's the face. DMs. That's the face. I love the face.
Where are you sending the fireball? Right on top of me. Okay, you're going to take fire damage. No, reflex save. I made a ... Okay, you take half. No, I take none of it. Why? Because I have evasion. Why would you do that?
There's a rule that I'm sure John will be pissed about. Evasion. What?
No, that's what.
So
these no arrow tricks.
My love-hate relationship with evasion is very, very long. I'm going to simplify it. If you're in a 10 by 10 by 10 area and a fireball goes off in the center of the room, the GM should absolutely say, hey, there's nowhere to dodge. You're taking the fireball. Evasion's not going to make you immune to it. You're still going to take damage because you're in a 10 by 10 by 10 area, and this fireball is going to fill 20 feet in all directions of the room. Because the GM is the arbiter of the game. They are not there to say, oh yeah, I'm going to allow you to be in a 5 by 5 cell and evade a fireball. No, they're the arbiter of the game. You have to, when you play a game, you sign up basically a social contract saying you agree to how the GM and how the rules play out. Now, granted, GMs don't abuse it. You abuse it, and guess what? You won't have players. But make the game fun. Make it a little realistic, but don't overstep. And same thing goes for players. Just because a rule is written in a certain way to say, hey, I've got evasion. I can evade a fireball going off 10 inches inside my nose because I have got evasion. No, I don't believe you can.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I don't do it that often, like I said. I think the last time I made a compromise with my DM says, is there a window in the room? He's like, yeah. Fireball. Okay, then evasion. Where did he go? Out the window.
Yeah, I mean, if in scenarios make sense, like, okay, if the door behind you is open,
yeah,
and you're in a 10 by 10 by 10 room and a fireball goes off, okay, yeah, you can evade, but you're not staying in the same place. Like, I would like to see evasion be a reaction to things where you actually have to use up your movement for the next round to get clear. You can't just stand in the same space as you just were for evasion. I think you should have to move to get out of the way of the fireball.
Or have cover that you can dive behind.
Or cover. And player, guess what? Your player characters, the other people in the room, they can be cover.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they can.
Why not?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. You don't need a place. Yeah, by the rules as written, you don't need evasion works. You don't move. You just magically not get hit by said fireball.
You're just standing there in that 5-foot square, unmoving like a statue, and the fire just washes over you, and you don't care. Everyone else is toast, but hey, little rogue, fuck off.
Raindrops don't hit me. I get it.
Anyway, sorry,
If-
sidetracked again.
It is, yes, it's suspension of disbelief, but it is part of the rules. And you guys sat down. I didn't hear you bitching about wanting to rewrite the fucking core rule book and how you do all the classes differently. And if you'd have the same XP chart like in other 3X games, or if you'd have it like in first or second ed, you guys all sat down willingly. So just agree, yeah, I don't really see how this happens, but then go with the game.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I don't really care. We've always just ruled with the evasions. Like you just found that one crack or that one depression in the ground that you managed to go, no, not dying today, and that's why you were smart, because knowing when to dodge is a superpower.
It kind of, in real life and in RPGs, it really is a superpower. It's like, I need to move my head to a quarter inch to the right or to the left. Why? I don't know. I just need to do it.
The whole Spider-Man reflexes.
Yeah.
Knowing which niche to stop into at the right time. It's a power. Go with it.
The wizard was.
Well, yes.
Wizards don't exactly get the most hit points at the end of the day. They are kind of squishy, and the strongest can kill them.
Go back to the D4.
Yeah.
What? I just said
No.
You get a D. No, you get a D2 now because you're not worthy of a D4.
I mean, hell, I was joking around with somebody. But a wizard cast, if the wizard cast has 3 spells per day, and you're on the last spell, you should have to make a con save before you make the cast the last spell. But why? So he doesn't fall over fucking dead from using that much energy.
No, we are not playing Shadowrun's spell casting system. Thank you very much.
I didn't even know that was a thing in Shadowrun.
Yes, it's called Drain, and it's what makes you both amazing and worthless at the same time.
Yeah, maybe the wizard just wants company in hell. I can get down with that.
Misery loves company.
Actually, back to miniatures. think I've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, WizKids have came out with a fireball fig. I think they have. They have all kinds of spell effects. I think
we'll buy it.
I'm gonna go fetch something real quick.
Sorry, hirelings. Yeah, we've already had that discussion.
Has everybody paid into their insurance? Yeah, good.
I don't have to pay you this week if you die.
Remember,
what do you have there, Jaide?
So while I was at Gen Con this past year, I saw this. I've seen it online a couple times, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna pick it up. Now, I may not use it for its intended purpose, the 5e stuff, but you know what? It doesn't have a grid.
Yeah, those are great.
Oh, those are yeah. I've seen those. Those are sexy as hell.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can set this on a map and say, hey, the fireball fills this field. You can evade, sure. You can take all your normal actions, but this here is a really great representation of spell effects. I don't remember how much I paid for it. I was just really excited to find it at Gen Con, so I went and picked it up. But there are resources out there that exist for GMs to use in game scenarios. And this pack here comes with like lightning rod, cones of fire, different circle cone
Made that
line
pack.
effects. Huh?
Who made the package?
I'm not sure.
Gale
I'm
Force
looking
9?
for it. Maybe. I'm
That
not.
also from Skinny. Is that from Skinny Minis?
I do not believe it's Skinny Minis.
Gen Con. I gotta make it a Gen Con.
No, you don't.
Okay, no, I don't.
Go to Egyptian Campaign or go to the one in East Peoria.
There's one in East Peoria.
Yeah.
Anymore. Is there?
I think
No.
it's now.
There's
I think it's
actually
called something else
there's
now.
a con this coming weekend down in Champaign, Illinois called Winter War.
You should check it out. It used to be really good.
I have a friend that's going.
Yeah, but most of the guys that were running that aren't even around anymore.
Well, I'm
Wait,
talking
hold
about
on.
people there 20 years
The-
ago.
The wives are chiming in here, Jade,
Yes.
and then mine too. Get God,
And
get God.
Couldn't pay me go, Jason. Have fun, guys.
Good, we won't.
Really, as
I
far as
like smaller conventions.
You know-
and there's nothing wrong with that.
I know there's one in Georgia called Dragon Con
Been
or
there.
something like that one.
Oh dear God.
I mean, there's Origins, there's Gen Con, there's there's cons that happen all over the country,
I'd rather go to
and
Essen.
other places.
Dragon Con is where you go for to go watch cosplayers and get really drunk.
I'm okay with the second
Atlanta,
part.
Georgia.
Which you're also in Georgia, so it's a long trip.
I like Georgia.
I used to.
Good barbecue.
Tennessee's better. Tennessee barbecue is better than Georgia's.
This is
Everyone has
almost
their
in
opinions.
Tennessee, so I mean, it's not bad. You're an hour away from the Tennessee border. The way I drive, you're an hour away from the Tennessee border. Let me reiterate that.
Okay, it's like that's a
If you
Tennessee
gotta
from here is
run-
like an 8-hour drive, but okay.
if you gotta run, you can make it.
Let's see what's going on in the chat over here. Yeah, I'm looking for that vendor right now. I was going to.
And I have
Post
I have
the
a
link.
friend who has a 3D printer. Between him and his buddy, have been pumping out some gorgeous minis. I have a Tuesday game where it is basically either Babylon 5 scenario battles or Star Trek battles, where it's try to do one of those guys. Try to run one of those games in theater of the mind, and you just freaking get lost. There's no possible way.
Okay. I have found it. I will pull up a.
But he has printed out like the Enterprise and other
Put
ships.
it into the private chat, and I'll put it in the other one.
Yeah, that's what I'm working towards.
One of those.
And actually, there it is. We'll go ahead and share that. I'll even make it a little bit bigger.
I mean, those that
Those are very well painted Narn warships.
yeah, the asteroids are styrofoam that the guy cut and manipulated to make the way that he wanted. Everything on that table, except for the mat itself, was created. Well, other than the ships were metal ships that he's painted, but all the asteroids are hand painted. All the ships are hand painted.
I see an old Stargate battle. That's what I see.
Yeah. And truthfully, this is, if you think about it, this is a war type game, which is a little bit different than what we're actually, looking at there. So kick that off.
That's my Tuesday nights.
Okay,
I normally come
it
home
looks
with a
like
headache.
there's a square space for this.
What the biggest geekers say, I think the issue is how we think.
I wish it was a solid ball, but it's really just a lot of fire and gas.
That's true. I don't know. I'm
The wizard farted, basically.
I'm of the generation or the decade that grew up watching Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z. So anytime somebody says fireball, I have the image of a what is it called? A spirit bomb popping in my head as the fireball. Where it's just a great big ball of energy.
So,
I think that was in a reaction to this one. Circle bases.
Posted the link to the templates. He actually has two different versions of the templates. You can get either 5e templates or Pathfinder templates.
Did we just lose G-Rock?
G-Rock just ruined himself.
There he goes.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer.
Sorry.
Come on.
Now,
are you doing okay?
The example that G-Rock just posted in chat there, that is just one example of spell templates. You can get 3D printable ones. You can get all sorts of ones. I think they might help some players understand exactly how much space things take up in a really fast manner. So if you do like the product, support small creators.
Most people need to understand how big is a 5x5 square in real life. I think people get lost. I've definitely sat at tables where somebody says, "Well, if every movement is a 5x5 square," I'm like, "Yeah, 5 movements, 5 feet. How tall are you?" I'm 5 whatever. I'm like, "Well, doing a straw that is longer than you are." There's no physical representation in your mind what a 5x5 square looks like.
And to be honest, go ahead.
Here's an easy idea. When you're walking through Walmart, look down. See those tiles? Those are 1x1 tiles. By law, by rules of the company, I don't have to talk to you unless you're within 10 of those squares of me. So as long as you're 11, I don't have to acknowledge your existence. So I can keep on walking, no matter how much you tell me to slow down. So
you haven't been to Walmart lately, have you?
Not lately, but not.
They've ripped up all those. Now it's all bare floor. There's no squares.
Damn it. That used to be the greatest.
One of the newer ones.
This is the greatest trick. Is like going the 10-foot rule. I'm sorry, you haven't provoked contact and communication yet. I just got to keep walking 10 feet ahead, 11 feet ahead of you the whole time, and they keep walking after me. And if they speed up, I speed up because I don't want to be within 10 feet of you. And
metric is always an option too. Yes.
Yes. But unfortunately, we're all filthy colonials, so we all use Imperial.
And this kind of goes back to one of the things I started with is zoned combat. To me, I'm actually not playing in 5e or Pathfinder anymore. I'm actually playing a different system called Index Card RPG, and I'm looking forward to using zoned combat because if I'm wielding a long sword, a short spear, a dagger, I attack anything that is in my close range. I don't have to actually be, standing directly next to them on a battle map. They're in close range. I say I move to that character, and I'm going to flash my dagger at them in efforts of slicing them. I roll an attempt and roll effort if I succeed. I don't really need to use 5-foot space. I don't need to use, hard defined elements or hard defined dimensions in a combat zone.
That's fair.
See, we knew that Max had minis. We knew it.
Happens.
My favorite thing to do is go to my local game shop and find a fig that I don't have, and now that that it's not painted, take it home and see how bad of a job I can do on it. I mean, how good of a job I can do on it.
Yeah, in fact, I just got some pretties in the mail yesterday. I got myself some some metallics.
Yeah,
Army painter, but they're all metallics. Because that was the thing that
Just use those fast, okay? Seriously. Army painter paints will separate faster than anything else.
Oh, and then Bruce.
Valeos?
Yes.
Those are the nice ones.
And then I got a, let's see here. A metric crap ton of brushes.
That is a metric butt ton.
Yeah.
Never mind. Sorry, I was just thinking. I said butt ton once in my. I have a very prudish person in my family. It's like I really wish you'd stop saying that. That's not a real thing. I'm like, it's because it was a term that they use for barrels of wine.
I mean, you could always say shit pot.
It was different.
Well, bedpans are actually weighed and measured to actual units of measurement.
Right, yeah. But butt ton
Shit
was a volume of hooch wine. So, anyways,
so the with that being said, now are we also looking at things that are now are we, when we go for like the miniatures as theater of the mind, are we also taking that outside of, you know, with the terrain that they're moving over? Let's say, because I've actually seen DMs who have actually, you know, set the party up as they were going, and it drew the areas of the land and kind of marked, you know, you guys are here, you go through here, but they still wanted the party formed up. Is that something you guys do? I myself, I don't do that, but is that something that you guys do? So we'll go ahead and start with, we're going to go ahead and start with Bruce first.
I will try to keep it as quick to present, and so I might have a handful of terrain that I will put out on the table, but I have battle mats. I have the randomized 5x5 cards that Paizo sells. I have all sorts of terrain items. I don't need to draw everything. If I have it accessible within arm's reach, I'll get it out there in front of the players, and I try to do that within 30 seconds or less, because I want to get the players and the NPCs put on the mat and get to rolling die. That's what I want to do. So I don't really worry about terrain. I do have terrain pieces here, as you can see, but I don't really do a whole lot. I have everything that Mantic Games has ever put out for terrain. I've done all of that. And then there's some other stuff that I use, but I typically will only put out the terrain if I figure it's going to provide a mechanical asset in the game whatsoever. If it's going to alter the field of battle, if it's going to make a +1 or +2 or some such like that. Otherwise, I'm just drawing basics like doors, walls, windows, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cover.
The main thing, I'll just finalize with this. The most important part about what I do is getting the players to act. And so the quicker I can get them moving, the better my game is.
That's more than fair. I depends on what I have at hand. I have a lot. Over the years, I've bought in a lot of cardboard, like the Paizo square maps or the 5e. If I'm doing like a labyrinth type dungeon crawl, I have those cardboard things from the 4e board games, Wrath of Charlon and all of them. But if I'm doing, like, if they're walking through the woods and I roll the random encounter, I do have a vinyl map that has a dirt road on it and it has trees and all the other stuff on it. And I'll start setting up there. When I was at the game shop, they actually had miniature trees that were the right size. So I would build a road with a forest, with woods around it, I would go to the 10th degree because I think it's more impressive to sit down at a table and it actually, has everything. Like those guys who spend hundreds of dollars in their basement to have the railroads with the houses and the trees and the buildings. I would do the same thing with my games if A, I had the space, B, I had the money, and C, I could, make it work. If that helps.
Okay. And Kai,
What do you know again?
are you using it strictly just for just like battles and stuff like that, or for like more overall?
Honestly, I only use the maps. I have 3, 4, 5 levels of mapping. I'm not sure anymore. It gets confusing at a certain point. I mean, I'm the person who would like to have a 28 millimeter scale HMS Victory or a Constitution sitting in my basement for just adventuring, because that would be cool. But I know that I don't have that kind of room to have a ship that big parked in my basement. But I would like, it's like, so honestly, I just would prefer just to have it so that way everyone's got an idea what's going on, because again, players are idiots, don't know how to follow information and can't take notes on a piece of paper. Though half the time I get really, really lazy. I'll just throw a blank whiteboard out and then just draw circles and go, this is where you're at, this is where you're at, there's a river here, there's some trees over here, this is where a hill is, this is the contour lines, this is where you got to worry about, this is where the inclines are really steep, this is where you need to worry about this. And it will be like a 5-minute scribble. And that will be enough to tell them, deal with it from here on out. And then at that point, I'm just moving crud with a stick on a board until, they're all happy. Because maps are pains in the ass, especially when you got to spend 30 minutes setting them out. That's 30 minutes that nobody wants to play. So honestly, 5-minute whiteboard, go. It's the equivalency of just to stick in dirt, go. Here's the plan, go with it, and the players go. Because they all have pretty miniatures, but all they need to know is figure out its general position, and they should be able to handle it from there. And if we need to get crunchy, we'll get crunchy. But if it doesn't need to be crunchy, no, then just avoid crunch. Or yeah, that's about what it comes down to.
Bruce?
No, Bruce is already gone. That would be Jaide.
So I think it comes down to how much time the game master, storyteller, GM has to prep. And, if the GM, has a lot of time to prep for the game, they have tools. There are tools out there that a GM can use that are free to use to make beautiful battle maps. So do I use battle maps? I definitely used to. And if a module actually has battle maps like already in it, I will scan them in, put them and make them digital, because I use an overhead projector onto my table. Oh yes, yes. And the maps that are made for modules, got to give credit where credit's due. The people who made those maps, did a really good job with them. Use them, if you can. Like I said, I take them, digitize them, or if I already have them in digital format, I throw them up on a projector, shining down on the table, and say, all right, arrange your figs on the battle map. So that's what I do for module play. For non-module play, I go to things like there are websites out there for free battle maps. Some of them are like Donjon, random battle dungeons. Yes, Arknight does also have some nice maps. Incarnate, for those who are a little more artistically or imaginative inclined, I suggest Incarnate. It is a free mapping software. Now you can actually purchase membership to it, but it's really great for making battle maps if you have a lot of time to prep, and you can actually store your entire game world there. Another one to use is something like Dungeon Fog. Again, this relies on the game master or the storyteller having plenty of time to prep for a session. Now, prep time could be 30 minutes. Prep time can be an hour, 2 hours, a week. If your gaming group only meets once every other week or once a month, you can most definitely take time to go build these digital assets. Yes, time, biggest geekus. But there are some GMs out there who don't have that kind of time to commit, and that's where we go find the pre-made stuff, and we make it fit our story or make it fit our scenario for the night. But then we get back into theater of the mind. Like, do I need a courtroom or a king's courtroom to do RP in a courtroom? No. It's when I say you are brought before the king, it's my job to describe in as much detail as I am willing the scene around the players, and this actually falls to every game master, storyteller. You know, you have to have the scene in your mind, and you have to be able to convey the scene if you're going to use theater of the mind. You are brought before the king in his alabaster hall, where the columns are 20 feet tall and crowned with Corinthian design, giving way to a vaulted ceiling, and the king is seated upon his throne, covered in red crushed velvet, 10 feet above the players. And he speaks to you from his dais. In that scenario, I've just painted the picture, and I don't need battle map to show. Now, if it's going to proceed to combat, I might draw it out. I've got maps that I can. I've got a dry erase map that I can pull out. It's all gridded and everything, and I can paint it out.
God, that thing is old as hell.
Actually, I made a new one.
I've got one too.
I got a vinyl one. I inherited it. But anyways.
Sorry.
So,
Didn't mean to bore you there, Legion of Meth.
sorry. Yeah. But
So-
go ahead.
Garrett?
What other situations would you use the minis in besides just plotting out battles? Where would they? Okay.
Whenever I've got a character that I need the players to recognize as a person, I will try to keep the miniatures straight because I've got a lot of them. I'm sorry. And so I'll try to put one down to signify a certain figure. And I always do try to have that at least available for the players to see. If they're present, they can follow the character, they can look at it, look at the details, etc. if there are some. But you want to have them there for character introductions. And then there's other times where you really do want to have the miniatures out there. Like, say if you've got a hostage situation and you have got the players over a barrel and you are forcing them to watch their family get killed one by one by one. And say the characters are taking too long because the players are taking too long. Maybe they're not interested, or maybe they're just now getting interested at the table. Wait, what's going on? And so you kill an NPC. And you iterate what's going on, what are you doing, and you put your little 2-minute sand timer out there and let them figure out what they're going to do.
Yep, that one.
Let them watch those sand grains drop. and just let them sweat. And then another one of their favorite NPCs dies. And if they aren't fast enough, if they can't think of a good plan, if they're ill-conceived, another NPC dies. You might kill your entire cast of fun NPCs you love to play, but there are times where you want to have a situation to where the miniatures mean something. Seeing the figure getting knocked over and making that the final goodbye you could give that NPC. Sometimes some players really are invested, and you want to get your players to that point where they feel like, shit, I don't need them to kill off my favorite barber. I don't need them to kill off my aunt. I don't need them to kill my cousin. You need to do that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anybody else want to weigh in on this one?
Oh no, I at best I will use that for like purposes of like, since I like to screw around with players with like listening ranges, detection ranges, and other things like that. I'll set up a room, put people, where are you hanging out at, where are you all out at in this room, in this chamber, then go, okay, you're here, you can hear from here, and then start playing with details like that, and then all of a sudden people go, oh, now this is getting more interesting, and I'm like, so, and because voice ranges have, how far you can talk clearly. I know it sounds like a lot, but whispers do carry, and also you can have a lot more fun like that. But mostly it's just there so that way people have a general idea of where they're going to be at when things go to shit, because players are dumb and they're going to cause shit for it to happen.
That happens.
Yup.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of recently. How things are going right now. Not everybody, but there's a lot of us that are using a virtual tabletop, and we are not able to use figs, but we're using tokens, little icons that replace
Pogs.
What?
You're playing with Pogs.
Pogs. You're playing with Pogs that represents what your characters are doing at that time, and that's just how games are being run these days. And I still rather do it that way, I think, than theater of the mind when it comes to a lot of it. I don't care if you're walking from point A to point B in some fictional town. I don't need to see what every freaking building looks like. I don't care. Or going into a shop. Some of those shops I've seen drawn out are really cool, but everything is flat. Yeah, everything is flat. But it's just the world that we live in right now, that we have the opportunity to play with people that we normally wouldn't get to play with without those tools. Except for Bruce, he still does it old school. He just sets it up with video cameras now.
Well,
Bruce, video cameras? What?
The cameras off the computer, or I have the 1080p little Logitech one. You know what I'm doing. You've seen it before.
Yeah, we don't talk about that other site here, Bruce.
That's there. Keep quiet, because I wouldn't want you guys to see the donkey show.
Oh, Kelly can be a girl's name too.
I mean, I know it's a joke, biggest geekus, but I would say I disagree with that statement. Barmaids are what you make of them in the theater of the mind.
I'd like to say that they don't actually, make the barmaids. I know I'm wrong, because I've seen them barmaid miniatures where they're the busty German, waitresses that look like they're about ready to fall out of their tops. I've seen those figs. Holy crap! I feel dirty for looking at those figs from time to time, but they do exist.
He's looked at them a lot longer than he wants to admit.
That's not untrue. Ow! We got what we're lacking in Kai's rants. We're getting in Jaide's owls.
Yes.
Sorry.
By the way, Jade had 2 teeth pulled today, so we were doing surgically. So we were sitting there beforehand, waiting for Bruce, and we were cutting some jokes, and he was like, "Ow, ow!" It was pretty amazing. But yeah, we've all known him for a very long time. So, or so of us have.
I'm sorry, I don't have any rants for today because, well, yeah.
If you're looking for Kai Ranch, you can go subscribe to his channel. His link is down below.
If I ever get my program to ever record anything properly, that'd be great. But yes.
What program are you using?
No. I have been trying to compile fit, and nothing has been working right. So yeah.
I'm gonna probably have to go over there sometime this weekend, more than likely. Hands on tech support. Woohoo!
Calvinani for the win. He says some of the board games like Conan have great cardboard maps and miniatures.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Actually, I've seen what was it? Game of Thrones has a board game, and their figs for that are absolutely gorgeous. There's a Doctor Who board game that has figs that I just want to buy just for the TARDIS. I mean, I don't really care about the rest of them.
Yeah, there was one that I played, and yeah, that's the wife. Go. Yeah,
I like it.
TV rent technology. Yeah. So, what other situations do you think that you would actually use the minis in, other than what we've talked about, as opposed to doing like theater of the mind? Where else would the minis work correctly and well into?
Well,
mass combat.
Not even mass combat. You could do a skirmish combat, but you could take the old Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game or the 5e ripoff version, or if you're playing a Star Trek, God bless you if you're playing Star Trek, you miserable Trek, you. I love Star Trek Federation battles or whatever it is, but it's like BattleTech. You check off boxes. Max is over there fucking spinning around a chair cooking. Anyway, I just like the idea of the 3D flight mini game that they came out with for 5e, and I think you really don't need their flight system. You just can use the figures for the actual combat and just use a round by round, measure out your tape, and you fly over here, you fly over there, and you want to do that. Biggest Geekus says that he thinks that miniatures are not useful outside of combat except for viewing purposes. I think that's totally BS. I think that for chase scenes, I think for introductions, I think for anything that you want to impart to the players, this is an important scene. Put the miniatures out there. The miniatures that are involved in the scene, put them out there so the players are going to be stupid. They're going to look at their phones. You're going to check on Facebook and Instagram. They're going to click on some tweets. Oh, wait, what's going on? Oh, my God. Yeah, fuck. Avengers in the goddamn combat. God damn it.
Oh, my God, yes.
Put the figures on the battle mat. That way they at least have an idea of what the scene is, because they get stupid and they'll start fiending for technology because they're little dopamine fiends.
Shh. Don't tell people my problem.
So anyway.
I have no idea.
And we also, I've noticed going on, I think, okay, let me start this over. I think miniatures help people stay paying attention. Anymore, it feels like our world has made, younger generations have the attention span of a gnat. It has to come in 30 seconds or at long, maybe a 5-minute, blip before they lose their interest and wanting to go find something else. Where using things like miniatures where us or people of older generation are used to sitting or reading something for hours at a time or doing something at a time because our attention span is dialed down. where if you're sitting at a table and they're doing theater of the mind, okay, I'm going to sit back and think about what the fuck ever because I have nothing to hook me to what's going on at the table. But if there's miniatures moving around, and this is coming from a guy who has ADD. I mean, I'm always somewhere out there. But if there's miniatures moving around on the table, I want to know what's going on. And so I think that's what's important to me, miniatures over theater of the mind. Because if it's theater of the mind, you could have somebody like Jaide describe a very beautiful setting of a king's entrance hall, and I get out of it because my attention span is less than 30 seconds. Crushed velvet, a chair. Oh wait, fat guy on the seat. Okay, that's all I got out of it. And that's why I think miniatures to me are important. I mean, over theater of the mind.
Now, where you might want to use theater of the mind is if you've got a 4-hour slot for this adventure and you just need to get the players force fed through the adventure. And Legion of Myth is like, I'd rather close my eyes and visualize. Okay, then do that. But other players have to be visual, and you are not everybody else. Everybody else can listen to people crunch on Dorito chips. You're over there taking people's heads off with cloppers.
Yeah.
And see, there's another perfect example right there.
Yeah, a guy with a head injury, he needs miniatures. Nothing wrong with that, says the man with over thousands of dollars in miniatures.
Well, it's also it breaks down to what kind of learning style that we have. If we're audible learners, yeah, sitting back and just listening to what the guy has to say, you retain all of that. Versus a person like myself who is a visual learner, I have to see what's in front of me so I can catch up.
And like with me, I'm more of a hands-on type person. I mean, I was sat and watched, the front desk person at my new job, doing her jobs because I have to know her job because I'm over all of it. But it's the thing is watching her do it. I was like, okay, cool. She's hitting button. Okay, she's hitting another button. I don't know what button she's hitting, but she's hitting a button. Woohoo, buttons. And then today I love
buttons. Beep, boop.
And then I sat down and did a few of the stuff myself. And I am more of a hands-on type person to actually, I have to do it in order for it to click. And I've always been that way.
So I'm going to break a little bit of a tangent real quick. Someone mentioned 3D combat is hard in miniature format. I do not disagree, but there are tools out there that help handle this. This thing here it's just a platform. You got the rubber band. You set your height by the rubber band, and that's how you control 3D combat. There are tools out there to assist with that. Sorry, tangent.
He is. He has all. He is in his little gaming dungeon there, so he's got all the tools right there within hand's reach.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Always
Gesundheit.
Oh,
that's all I got to say to that comment.
At tables, I always thought it was kind of interesting where, if I'm playing, especially whenever we're at Jaide's house and I'm playing a character that's flying either on a rug or by my own abilities, and he pulls out that little thing, he's like, or who is it? Scott also had little platforms. Okay, you are, 10 feet off the air.
James, yeah.
You could sit your character on this platform, sort of like 3D chess back in the old Star Trek days. I think that shit's interesting. I think that's really cool because if you're saying, theater of mind versus theater of mind, my cat is flying. Where? I don't know. He's just up in the air flying. He's right there. Where's there?
And there's multiple ways to handle 3D combat. The tool I showed here, it's just one method. You can also set them on top of dice boxes. Like the clear acrylic Chessex boxes, you just set them on top of it and say to represent, yeah, I'm flying. And then you just notate by them like how high they are in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, I've thought about finding ways to attach string to my ceiling for different times to hang the fuckers up in the air. Like, you're flying right here. It doesn't work out, but it's a great thought. I know.
What, you don't deal with angle of ascent or angle of descent, and try to figure out other poses on how they're moving through the air.
I mean,
Hey.
if you
There's only
want
so
that
much
kind
I'm
of
going to be
game,
able to do at my apartment, okay?
Now with 3D combat, like if you have your dragon flying above the characters, like you put your miniature up on a die or on something to help get the character elevated off the battle mat or off the table. The flying stands, you want to have them utilized, but for those of you that don't want to do a whole lot of prep for this, just have something that will signify this character is above or below these characters here. And that is really good. That'll help out give the players a visual reminder of what the situation is, because not everybody has a 3D printer that can print off infinite stacks of flying stands, etc., etc. You just need a simple representation when you're doing 3D combat. And most of the time, those scenes are best done with concise information that you can wrap up quickly, because if you drag it out for 3 hours, it will lose the punch.
Yeah.
I do like Tanya's comment as well as Legion. Sometimes minis do slow down combat. Because people are like, I need to be in the perfect position to avoid getting in the fireball.
I want to be in flanking position for this so I can stab him while I've got the wizard on the other side.
Meanwhile, all your range players are like, we don't even care where we're at. Are we within range? So slowly but surely, my players are all moving towards ranged combat is the best way to do this.
Well, whenever you've been playing anything based on D&D for any length of time, yeah, ranged combat's broken as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, it is until the
Can be.
fucker finds a creature that basically puts whatever you're shooting at it back at you, because that was a real nice fucking trait.
And here's the way you get around that, asshole. You just leave the fucker behind, because oh no, you can't touch it with melee damage. Oh, sorry, with range damage. You know what? Fuck it. We're leaving town. Why? Fuck you, because we know what you're trying to do, you cocksucking GM. Because all you're trying to do is ruin everybody else has built themselves around the idea that we're all a ranged combat group. But hey, you just want to be all fucking like, you're right up there with the cocksuckers who wheel out a goddamn rust iron monster because, well, we got too many melee characters who are too fucking good at armor, so fuck them with range with that. So you know what? Every one of you little fuckers wow, the entire party has built themselves towards one particular way of play. I better fuck them endlessly with every single encounter that everybody's got the counter to their tactic. Wow. So everyone has built along a theme and a way of play. But you know what? You gotta whip out your fucking GM dick and go, this is how fucking amazing I am on making so that way you gotta think harder. Meanwhile, the party just goes, you know what? Fuck this. We're going somewhere else. Why? Because your fucking encounter sucks. Well, it's a challenge. Fuck you. No, it's not. All it is a way to fucking abuse us. Well, that's it. That's your fault for not being good enough at your goddamn jobs. And like, you know what we can do. Why don't you make a fun encounter that we can actually play? Well, fuck off. Fuck you. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Take your fucking pile of dice, your maps, your sheets, and all of your fucking little tricks that you think you got, and go fuck yourself with it while we go out and go play a real game. It's actually more fun. Bye.
Wow. Okay, somebody should.
And you said you did not have a rant in you tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just.
I mean,
Neither do I, but it was amazing.
Really quick. That statement was kind of a jab towards Jaide, because one of the counters he ran in, the creature had the ability to fling back anything. He didn't build it. It was the way it was built, from my understanding. had the ability to fling any ranged weapon, a range attack back at the person. One person decided to cast Disintegrate. The spell turned back on him and disintegrate him. I was shooting arrows, and I'm like, shoot, I think I'm going to hit. Oh, fuck, my arrow's coming back at me. That actually had, what was it, a beat of force on it, which would have shut me up for the rest of the fucking game. Oh, yeah. I'm like, fuck, I'm done. I quit. I'm going to go collect some mushrooms. Peace.
Yeah, that monster. So we were running Wrath of the Righteous. That monster was actually built to shut down combat. And at the beginning of every round, the GM rolls a D4 to determine how many ranged attacks, get reflected back upon their origin source. I can't remember what the monster's name was, but yeah, the mage of the party decided as opening salvo, I'm going to twin cast Ray of Disintegrate, maximum. Keep in mind, this is mythic level of play. This is absurd levels of play. I'm going to twin cast, maximize my Rays of Disintegrate, and it turned back on him. Both castings of it turned back on him. He did some 2,000 damage to himself, and he's a mage. He doesn't have hit points, and he turned into a pile of dust, not once but twice.
His dust became fucking dust.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like.
So there are ways to handle ranged combat if you're looking at a scenario where everyone's trying to go ranged combat because they're too afraid of getting into melee. There are methods.
And if I'm remembering correctly, the next 3 encounters after that, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not shooting shit because if that one fucker can do it, so can these fuckers.
I mean, you weren't wrong. There was one more encounter that had that.
This was a learning lesson. I learned my lesson. I'm going to shoot a normal arrow. Does it come back at me? Okay.
Oh yeah. To this day, we still don't let that player live down that encounter. Neither do we let the player who swung to get everyone's attention, swung at a table and missed with an @1. We don't let him live that one down either. But anyway, I digress.
Why was he swinging at a table?
So set a way back machine for you, G, to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous Module 1. There was a scenario in which the NPCs you were traveling with in the darkness got into a massive argument. I think it was actually before. It was an area that you didn't get to until late in the game, or late in that module. Anyway, the NPCs got into a massive argument, and the leader, so to say, of the group was trying to get everyone's attention because, well, he was tired of the infighting, and it didn't go well.
No, it was actually quite hilarious. I wasn't there, but I've heard stories. Yeah, I was not there for that, but yeah.
All right. So, I mean, I think we've pretty much exhausted this one. Does anyone have any additional thoughts on this?
No.
Any more rants?
No. Please don't make me rant again. I would like to not rant again.
What if?
Yes.
What if if you got enough tree figs to map out a dungeon?
No.
Shit.
Not biting on this one.
But what if your paladin was actually chaotic good instead of lawful good?
And he was a gnome
with war crimes. All the war crimes. I don't care anymore. Until all the villages are dead, let's just keep going.
He was a chaotic good gnome that rode on a chihuahua. No, a poodle.
You know what? On that, I'm out. Good night. It's late. I have work in the morning. So,
all right. Yeah, this one's going to be a little shorter than what our normal ones is, guys. We did get started a little late, and we do apologize for that. We definitely want to. There we go. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I was waiting
There
for.
we go.
Ah, the hate. It feels so good. But we are going to go ahead and call the night. Kai, do you have anything coming up this week?
Depends on if I'm able to actually have the computer work today. That would be nice.
Night, Joe. All right. Conall, are we getting your stuff off the ground this weekend?
That's the going theory. I'm got most of it figured out. I'm just trying to figure out the first video.
All right. Bruce.
Saturday, about noon 30, I should be starting up my channel or be trying to wrangle the cats into the stream yards to continue the game that I had 3 weeks ago. I run a game. It's basically Pathfinder First Edition. It's a core rulebook game because I really hate all the splat crap that's in there. The basic game of most game systems is really good. But when you add all the splat books and all the crap, and whenever Paizo thought they could actually write a concise world, just laugh with me, okay? Because I fucking laugh all the time. Anyway, I'll be running my game Saturday afternoon. Swing by my channel. It is Bruce Lombardo75 on the YouTube.com. And we'll be streaming our game over there probably till about 8 o'clock, maybe even 9 if I can keep the players going. I hope I can.
That's gonna be a long game.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be chewing on some coffee beans. You better do the same thing.
I'm gonna bring out my Death Wish coffee.
Coffee's good for you.
It's a good diuretic. It'll keep you regular.
It was Taco Bell, but I don't recommend it.
But evidently, Max is already plotting our mocking
He's
for
gonna mock it
Friday.
tomorrow night. I couldn't even get
So,
here on time. I'm sorry. I had a shitty situation at work.
Yeah, for those that don't know, that's kind of what Bruce does. He just gets into shitty situations.
Yeah. Oh, you have a grease trap in your Taco Bell. Oh God, that's the worst smell known to man. You guys might think the Skiddo can at your family reunion is bad at about the 4-hour mark at the family reunion, but I'm going to tell you that instead, no, it is a taco house grease trap. Oh, you have no idea. Laugh out of that.
Nobody
I'll
knows.
shut up now.
I myself am probably going to get things rolling again. I do apologize. I was trying to do my videos earlier this week, and my voice just was not holding up. So I'm lucky that it's held up through this. A lot of water is helping, but definitely. Also, do make sure you go over and check out our friends over there at Legion of Myth. They're going to be making fun of us on Friday. Probably some of us will be in there pointing and laughing back at him.
Yeah.
So remember that mockery is not hate. Unless Max does it, then it's all hate.
Subscribes. They're almost at 3,000 subscribers, and we're going to buy Max brand new Hubble telescope lenses for his glasses.
Woo!
And a new mullet wig so he can start doing some After Dark material again.
Fucking Jesus.
Yes. All right, guys. So we're going to call this one good. We will be back next week. Hopefully on time next week.
Start
Lord.
without me if you have to. I'm okay with that.
Okay, no problem. Well, if we'll give you a little time, but once we hit about almost that hour mark. Well, no, once we hit the
time, if I'm not in by 7:30, start.
Yes, sir.
God damn it!
Okay,
dude, we're supposed to be regular. We're trying to build a consistent channel. We're trying to build a consistent brand. Let's go for it. Hard into the paint.
All right. All right. So we will be back next week with another topic. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank everybody for taking a little bit of time out of your lives to watch something that we love to talk about, which is gaming. And you have a great night.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Have a good night.